And that's all. We started off by just talking so that I would take the right position, so that...
What is the right position?
Well, that is, they say, to shine the light on the truth that was beneficial to them.
That is, let us explain it correctly. They wanted to convert you.
Yes.
So that your essentially oppositional Telegram channel would gradually begin, ensure that you
become a Z.
gradually become a Z war correspondent, so...
Yes, I refused. Then the beatings began.
Were you promised any bonuses and advantages?
They promised something about construction. There was a conversation that these were going to be construction contracts.
You're in the right position and your official work will be in good demand.
You will live well. Yes, and the criminal case against you will be dropped, that is, all restrictions will be dropped. You will be able to move around the country freely, which I could no longer do after the criminal case. And we will leave the ban on leaving the country for you. You will travel around the world, everything will be great for you.
Yes.
I refused, that is...
Why? You didn't believe it?
Well, first of all, it makes no sense to trust our authorities.
Right.
And secondly, it somehow conflicted with my conscience.
In contrary.
Yes.
So?
With my concepts about life and conscience.
Wait, before we get off topic, you touched one of the topic of life and concepts. Why do you have such negativity toward the state? And when did it start?
Since 2019, that's how I saw it all. That is, people just came out, even just to look at this situation. People just came out to say that we want a park. Well, these temples, there is a temple across the street. Take, for example, demolition, abandoned shopping center. 400 meters from there stood an abandoned shopping center, huge, twice as big as the park in size. There was parking and everything, and that is... For these people were fired, I was expelled. That is, I started from there, I saw how people live. I worked in Peterochka and expired goods were thrown out behind my store every day. And greenies fought over these expired goods in the trash heaps. We even filmed videos. One time my administrator filmed the video and sent it to me, showing greenies fighting over expired goods and garbage.
Which was thrown out?
Yes, that is, we threw it in the trash. We had to lock it because the supervisors were swearing there. And so we tried to give it back during the audits because more than 200,000 just flew into the trash. And we just rolled it out in carts behind the cameras. They took it there, but they fought for it. That is, you look at it, what they bring it to. And I came up to her. There was one biology teacher standing there, and I asked, why don't you have enough?
A biology teacher who teaches at school.
She taught or teaches, she just says I'm a biology teacher. I feed dogs this food, and sometimes if it's something really good, I eat it myself. Because there is not enough money, like... So, you look at this nightmare. She has a pension of 13,000. She worked there for, she said 50 years at the school. And maybe she was working at that time. That is, my teacher before evening school, I studied in the city of Ukhta. That is, I did not live with my mother. That is, she was in the village of Ustyug. I was sent from from 4th to 6th grade. I studied in Ukhta, sanatorium boarding school number 4. Well, it's a good place, I mean, I even liked it there. And when I studied there, we had Mrs. Larissa. She was 92 years old, she was a history teacher. She already had a tick. That is, she started at one point for a long time. Her head looked like this, but she worked. That is, she had experience. This is a very popular school. Many children came into the world there. Many worthy, good people.
Perhaps you will add to their list.
Possibly. I hope.
I thought you pointed at me.
We know that you have already filled all the list long ago. Mostly executions.
And that is... I looked at all this horror.
In short, the beginning of the indignation was in 2019.
Well, even earlier, when I got my laptop, I started reading what this government is doing, just even with people who say something against. Well, it can't be like that. Even my childish mind understood that if a person speaks, he cannot be killed
We are
for
returning to the casemates of the Yaroslavl FSB. Apparently.
That's how they introduced themselves once. No one showed any identification. They didn't give me a single paper to sign. I don't even know what they said. It's the FSB.
Okay. The bonus is you will work for us. You will write the truth as we see it.
Yes, yes.
You will have contracts. Everything will be in
is
order.
covered in chocolate.
There
What
will
does
be orders.
punishment look like?
Punishment, 27 years.
Prison.
Yes.
For what?
For fakes about the Russian army, discrediting, plus we will wind up your criminal case. They promised to throw in drugs to the case, because when I was arrested, they found a little marijuana at my house.
Yours?
Yes.
We don't hide it.
Yes. Let's not hide it. How much is a little?
4 grams or so. Well,
Half
that's
a kilo.
nonsense.
I won't
I
hide
won't
it.
hide it. I'll use it. That's it.
In blunts.
We are against it with Zolkin and the commander of the
We
Russian Volunteer
condemn,
Corps.
yes, we condemn.
We
it.
condemn drugs.
So, physical violence?
Was
What did it look like?
at first just with truncheons for an answer he didn't want to hear. Shoulders, legs. You start to hide.
Where was it geographically?
Yaroslavl. We went later. It didn't take
Were
long.
you taken there with your eyes closed?
Yes, yes.
Holy shit.
They puts me in a car in the trunk.
In
This
the
is
in
trunk.
the trunk.
Passenger car?
Were you
It's
riding
in a
the trunk
passenger
of the
car.
car?
I felt it, but my eyes were closed.
You were riding in the trunk with your hands tied behind your
Yes,
back and your
yes.
eyes closed? Well, this turns out to be kidnapping.
Okay, well, yes, it is kidnapping.
Kidnapping.
Here,
It was clearly not the police, because the police would not do such a thing.
Then they would have summoned him by subpoena.
Yeah, they would have locked him up in the
I
police
was not
station.
called. I came without any problems.
Yes, he was not a problem. They were clearly. Did you see them later? Their
No,
faces.
everyone is wearing masks.
Were they always
Yes,
wearing
when they
masks?
talk to us, they were always wearing masks.
Summer 2024, a country of talents and opportunities. As the commander said, they take care of you. You don't have to look at their face, so you don't fill your head with unnecessary worries.
You didn't fill it with unnecessary information.
Unnecessary information.
Well, there you go. At first, they convinced me to work. When they realized I wouldn't, they told me to just delete the Telegram channel. I signed up for that. They say that now you will be removed. We will give you a suspended sentence. You will go check in, just sit silently.
Everything is as it was.
Yes, quiet, live your life peacefully. I don't need to say anything. I've already thought about it.
Okay, lesser of two evils.
Yes.
Did they take your phone away?
Fun?
Why
yes.
didn't they delete it themselves?
So access is needed.
And you didn't give them the code?
They didn't ask. They said it, delete it, gave me the phone, I deleted.
They just don't know how to do it.
Maybe.
By the way, yes.
The guys work in a different field.
Well, that's it. I deleted the Telegram channel, and at one point I freaked out and we started squabbling with the guard, with the one who was guarding us.
You and the second admin.
No, the administrator already...
Was he separated?
He's already been taken away. As soon as the channel was deleted, he was the first to be taken away, since they probably detained him earlier. They told me for a couple of days. I had a row with the security guard. He said, why did you start saying all this? Why did you need this? You live well. I also told how I lived and what I did.
This is not an interrogation.
Conversation I have improved.
It was unpleasant for me to hear this
We
now.
are talking.
We are having a
Voluntary, by the way.
conversation. I want to
If you say
notice.
something wrong, you know what will happen.
Delete the channel.
Delete the channel.
So,
And I started talking about one of the complaints about this whole system, war, and after that they took me to another conversation, There it was probably more of a torture, and I tried out the Lobotins. What did they call it? I'll try it
Lobotins?
now. They hung me up like this in the cage by my hands. They tied me up, and they started beating my heels with truncheons and 5-liter bottles. It lasted about 30 minutes. Hellish pain. My legs were so swollen. They put Lobotins on me.
well, most likely just some high-heeled shoes.
Well, yes, but they say that they were Lobotins
Well,
and looked
Lobotins are just
similar.
very expensive, I tell you.
It hardly original, yes. Well, that's why
Don't
I
ask me
had
how
to...
I know how much Lobotins cost. That's it.
I had to run 30 laps around this chamber. That is not walk, but run in these labyrinths. If you stop a blow, so...
Some kind of subtle sadism, just
Yes, with a hint of erotism.
Well, they filmed it all on their phone.
There is also a video.
They have it somewhere in the Yaroslav. That's it. I finally agreed to the contract. I thought it would work out there. But that was already the case.
This
if
one
you
an
don't
interview
sign
to join the Russian army, gentlemen.
to the Russian
Do
army.
you have Lobatins?
Well, I find it.
Maybe then the interview will go faster.
We can take advantage of the experience of the gentleman from the Yaroslav casemates, which we will
Well,
definitely
they look
reach.
convincing. How long did it take to convince?
It all took about 4 hours.
Oh, well, we still have us. Okay.
That's all. They gave me 2 weeks. They started feeding me normally after I
Where have you
agreed.
been all this time?
In some basement. That is, there were no windows, nothing.
Was there
One
a bed?
door. A bed without a mattress. That is
Was
just
the
a
light
piece of
on
wood
all
like
the
this.
time?
The light was on
Toilet?
one bulb. The toilet is a hole in the floor. That is the Soviet hole with 2 legs to stand on. This one is half separated from the door. It's like
Well,
this
this is some
somewhere.
kind of disciplinary
Looks like an
isolation
isolation
ward.
ward.
That's it. 2 weeks
Wait, let's get this straight. They gave you 2 weeks for what?
physical recovery.
You were beaten,
Well,
so
yes.
that you signed voluntarily.
They gave me some medication.
The medical commission.
Yes.
The military medical commission was waiting
I
for
arrived
you.
at the military commissariat.
Where were you for 2 weeks?
There too. They gave me a mattress,
A
medicine,
normal
and feed me
attitude
normally.
immediately follow it.
That's it. They brought me by car. I had to go out to the military registration office and say I want to voluntarily sign the contract. I did all that. They put me in another car and took me to Yasnaya Zori,
Were
sanatorium
there
in
any
Yaroslav.
options to get out of the car and run away?
It seemed pointless to me.
Well, only if
It
you
was
were
pointless.
Lobatins.
How many of them were sitting in the car?
4. I'm the 5th.
As I understand it, 4 people played with you for 3 weeks endlessly.
No. I saw 2. They were wearing masks, but judging by their voices, it seemed like there were only 2 of
Imagine
them.
how crazy the system must be to contain something that is essentially illegal. Was anyone looking for you at the time?
Well, yes, but where? I have had moments in my life when I simply disappeared. It is strange that I was not needed by the inspection at all. They were following me closely before, but when they saw that I was behaving normally, they gave up on me. He's working on it, and that's fine. They were looking for me, but I had already had moments in my life when I simply forgot about everything there and
Well,
went
punk, of
into
course.
myself somewhere. And that's why people thought that I went somewhere back into myself, a creative person who
and
cares
right
about
here
him.
too.
What I'm saying there is unclear. Well, they searched, but what? They contacted the police and everything is fine. The work is underway, and I paid money so that I could work, but I did not work.
Well, that
you didn't
makes
check in.
sense. I also
Yeah.
wanted to ask, did you actually work somewhere on the street?
No, to Red and White, they sort of got me a job, sort
Red
of.
and white?
This is swine.
Yes.
Alcohol market.
A friend of mine worked
The
there
guy
as
who
a
was
director.
supposed to work at got a job at a liquor store.
I
Well,
paid
it's
them
like
this
some
money.
people
The
work
fact
hard
that
and
this
some
person
don't.
had to go to the state, I simply paid the director so that she would arrange for someone to work the same way as I worked at 17.
Well, that's clear.
Only I paid this money conditionally. My time was worth more than what I...
Well, I see. Okay, you come to the military office and say, I'm ready.
yes,
I
that's it.
want.
They put me in another car right away. That is, it was 5 minutes.
In short, they knew that you are coming.
I don't know. Most likely I signed some papers about the agreement on the processing of personal data. That's all.
Well, everything would be according to the law.
Signed this paper, yes. Last name,
Lobutin
first name,
size.
patronymic. I went to Yasnaya Zori. It was a former sanatorium. Most of people still go there for vacation. And conscripts. That is absolutely everyone. True, who I saw there, I somehow imagined it all differently. It's true that there is some kind of a medical commission, but in fact,
What kind of contingent?
alcoholics, drug addicts, all shaking, toothless. I saw a man without a hand.
Without a hand?
Without a hand.
Also conscript.
Conscript.
Did they all sign the contract voluntarily too?
Yes, yes.
So,
Or the same as you.
well, voluntarily, just like
No,
you
no.
voluntarily. Or
there it is
there
purely
someone there.
voluntarily. I heard this conversation. That is, and
For Russia.
yes, there are the ones that stand there. Will get there now.
Now we will kill the Ukrainians and
Every
glorify
day
Russia.
they get drunk, and it was a close territory.
There.
And the military registration office there gives out 50,000 rubles starter
Starter.
until this
Did
payment.
you get them?
No,
So,
Where did you put them?
I didn't do them anywhere. I didn't receive 50,000.
please send him to a polygraph test.
So
Find out the fate of 50,000.
here, they got drunk with that money, but alcohol there costs 3-4
It's
times
logical,
more.
normal business. But by the way, this
That's
is
it.
the case everywhere.
I stayed there for 2 days. They did a fluorography. They took blood. That's it. You're healthy. Go.
Are you leaving from there on September 8th?
On the 8th night, at about 11, half past 11, we arrived near Kursk. I don't know exactly, into the forest. They just bring us to some forest. There were tents
Did they
there.
explain to you where you were going?
They were told that we were going
Why?
to the Kursk region. The situation is tough. There aren't enough people. You're the emergency aid. You're now the Marines. I approached the commander and said I can't go to the Marines. He also asked who feels that can't refuse. I came up to him and said I can't. He is like, no, you're young. You can't refuse. The 2 old men who refused were
So,
taken out
what
of
is
action.
their future fate?
Should.
I don't know. They stayed at Pagonova. Most likely they went to Lugansk, as they told everyone there after Pagonova, everyone goes to Lugansk, to the same training ground in the Lugansk region. Only this training ground, as it was called, Rapid Response Group, something like
From
that.
the
people.
elderly, the refusers, one-armed, the one-legged.
Well, yes.
The one-armed man left?
The one-armed man, I don't know, he's not at Pagonova. He was taken to training ground somewhere in
Well,
Rostov.
the special
Paratrooper.
unit, yes.
That's it, and they brought us to the forest. There we spent the night in this forest until the morning. They gave us weapons. They gave me a rifle with a crooked barrel like this. AK-12.
Here is the rifle and a crooked barrel here.
Yes.
Maybe you need to shoot from around the corner with
I don't
just
know.
such a barrel.
I came...
Your broadcast has been blocked.
Interesting.
So,
That's it. They gave us weapons, 2 magazines and a rifle each, and bulletproof vest. I had my own. I
you
had
said you bought
everything of
everything
my own.
yourself because what they
Yeah.
gave you was crap.
Well, it was unreal. 30 kilograms of body armor. I couldn't even make my arms like that. The maximum circumference of my arms in the body armor they
Whoa.
gave me. Plus, it's wearing clothes are 2 sizes too big, shoes are 3 sizes too big. I was like a fish until I ordered for myself. In total, I spent 40,000 rubles. This is the
Is this
uniform
your
and shoes.
uniform that you brought for
Yes,
yourself?
for my own money.
So,
That's it. By the way, at the time I hadn't received the payment yet. That is, this million from the state probably never arrived. Because I've heard of cases where it never arrived at all. One-time payments. That's it. That's why I never got the million. They gave me a rifle and brought me to some garage in a UAZ. Quickly, we entered the garage. We jumped out of the UAZ and ran into the garage. From the garage, 3 people at a time, we were driving in a buggy to another village. From there, we were distributed. These 200 people were divided into groups of 25 people. That is a truck, 25 people, and we drove into different forests in trucks, some points. That 25 people, we were brought to the village. We settled down. That is on September 9. We needed to spend the night. 5 people were going to strengthen the position. 20 to storm it into armored personnel
storm?
carriers. Yes, right away.
how prepared were these people for this type
I'll
of war?
Just say that 20 minutes after the assault began, we heard on the radio I was the only one wounded. Everyone else is dead.
Good.
Good assault.
Yes.
That is
There's one guy
90
who
minus.
survived. The 20 years old guy survived, but the
Yeah.
rest didn't.
Yes.
That's it. There are 5 of us. Me, the German. The German is the most interesting guy I've seen during my entire service in the Russian army. Well, and the blacks too,
Were there blacks?
from Cameroon. 4 people.
How did they end up there?
Received citizenship.
Yeah. Are they going to
Yes.
get citizenship? Well, Russian
Well,
citizenship.
and through Moscow, of course. Moscow is more profitable.
Yes, yes.
27 million after all. That was also interesting. At the training ground, everyone had a question more about where you're from and then what you signed the
Were
contract
they
through.
paid more?
Because a person could be from Magadan, signed through Moscow. He flew at his own expense, and many did not do so at their own expense. They wrote to the curator and paid for the curator's ticket.
Uh-huh.
Because in Moscow, I think they give $500,000 per person. A curator gets 150,000
The
in the
curator,
regions.
the one who organized it for you.
Well, conditionally, he sends you to fight.
That is in a sense, as I understand it,
Yes,
there is
yes,
already
yes.
a whole business around those who went.
In Russia, nothing can happen without
Of
it.
course, a country of entrepreneurs.
That's it. They put us in the trenches. For a week, we just dug trenches.
So,
Even so, they did this in a place where there were no fortifications yet. That is, we dug, as we once said, 30 kilometers from your positions.
uh-huh.
That is, I understood it this way. We dug here, moved
Uh-huh.
away. We dug, moved away. We
Uh-huh.
dug, moved away. That is, we
Uh-huh.
moved closer to Kursk. That's it. They promised to get in touch every 3 days. In the end, we didn't get in touch for a week. I went up to the platoon commander and said, what's going on? We need to get in touch. I have a girlfriend there. I have a sick grandmother. Is there any way to get in touch? He's like, yeah, pay me. We need to do a rotation. Someone needs to come in your place. I can't lead you alone. The whole team will have to be replaced. This needs to be done somehow.
The issue
It
needs
cost
to
me
be resolved.
200,000 rubles. That's it. We were replaced. It turns out we left for 3 days from the 17th and rested until the 20th. We got in touch in 5 minutes. We were brought to a village from where we were going out to the trench, and some were going to storm the same village.
Did he call with your voice?
No, 2 message loaded. Because the connection was terrible, it was just Wi-Fi.
Did 2 messages cost you?
200,000.
100,000 per message.
1,000 in today's money.
Not bad.
Well, I'm not alone. All 10 people on the team.
Did you chip in 200,000?
I paid, but someone there said that he sent it, but
It's clear.
whatever they send it or not doesn't matter anymore. That's it. We had another 2 days of rest. Funny thing, they allowed us to kill 2 rams so that our team could eat.
Uh-huh. Where did you get the rams?
And there the farm
you buy
was
them?
abandoned. No, they told us to go. There are sheep there you can eat. There will be
And
no
if they
meat.
were, do you understand whose sheep they were? Briefly
Blood
speaking,
feud. Maybe they were someone's boyfriends or girls.
So
it wasn't me who said that. By the way, it was him. Cut out this piece, he doesn't care.
Dima, you're giving me a ticket to your war.
So, if I went along with the
You and
Muscovite
Muscovite.
and the German. And German. Funny situation, Muscovite is a Tajik who worked in the Moscow City Immigration Department.
Everything is clear.
And German, he lived 17 years in Germany. He came to defend his homeland when they entered Kursk. Such a
Was
dude.
he a citizen of Germany?
Yes,
Returnee.
that's it. We're off. Muscovite, since he's Tajik.
Let's say Tajik, I like it.
Yes, that's what I called him. He went, he fired a magazine at Ram. The Ram stand there, not a care in the
So?
world.
What do you want from
He
me?
turned his head to where the shooting was confirmed from. The second magazine, nothing. He looks and he has 5 magazines of ammunition, blank cartridges loaded. He spent 3 days at the training ground and how the cartridge is different, he simply did not know. Then in the end, they killed the Ram, German, because he said, I'm scared to shoot
Yes,
from
yes,
this.
yes.
I'll sit, kill him. I don't want to kill the Ram. I feel sorry for
So?
him. We loaded the Rams. When we arrived, the commander gave the task to check, and the 30% of the fighters had all the ammunition blanks.
I never heard anything like this before.
Not bad.
Because everyone from Voronezh was there, and it turned out that some were training for 1-2 days.
Uh-huh.
That is, we've eaten, we were put in the evacuation group. We spent 3 days in the evacuation group. We left on the 20th. On the 23rd, in 3 days, we pulled out 1 wounded and 1 dead. There was no possibility to pull out the dead. That is, we could pull out 5-6 people.
Uh-huh.
we were told to pull out one specific person.
Why?
I don't know. We guessed it was the commander. That is, they're basically in a row and in a radius of, let's say, 100 meters. There were about 8 dead people lying there. We were told to pull out the second one from the edge and just rip off the tokens from the rest. That's it. We did it. We graduated him to the place where the corpses were lying, and there were already about 20 people lying there. We put him down. And when we asked why they weren't being taken away, because it was clear from the smell that they had been lying there for a very long time. And they told us that when there were 30 people, then they would be taken away.
Yeah, it looks like 30 people will be
So we
recruited
say,
quickly.
they say, no, this don't exist.
Oh, not those special 30
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is, it doesn't
Line.
apply to everyone.
And on the dead, there is also a line.
Yeah, I wanted to say live, Kiwi, but it's not live.
My commander from Voronezh was lying there too, also we arrived on the 8th. And there the date was the 8th, that is who went
Yes,
into the south.
That is from
My
the
commander.
8th to...
It's 23rd
He
was lying
was
down.
already decomposed there.
in a bag. They are lying there, and someone I looked at the dates, they are from the beginning of August. August 8th, they are lying there.
Exactly, 2 days of the Kursk
The
operation.
5 of us were made, so to speak, a replacement for one fighter. Another 10 people were assigned, who had just arrived from Sevastopol. These are their first day in the Kursk region. Our task was to fortify the 30th point, spend the night on the 30th, go to the forest through the Raven. That is, it is an open area of about 150 meters. Where they said, perhaps with a fight, perhaps not, take the first position. Nobody knows what's going on there. We 15 people walked this 150 meters calmly. We fortified ourselves there. We didn't meet any resistance. As I found out already in captivity, there should have been 2 people sitting here, 2 old men of the Ukrainian army, but we didn't meet anyone. That's it, we fortified ourselves here. About 3 hours we are there, we found Ukrainian dry rations. Very tasty, green,
Yes.
had a good meal. Because
So?
what the Russian army gives is, to put it mildly, not very
So?
pleasant. We ate, we drank tea, and Pekar, the commander of these 15 people, he has the only one with the radio, said to the 3 of us, me, German, and Kappa.
Tajik?
No, Tajik is too lazy. He always tried to step aside somewhere.
Slips through, though.
He was the commander of our 5, I was always against it.
So, our men.
And we were given the task of reaching point 3, to the end of the forest belt. That's all. We walked 30-40 meters and met a guy. Such a bearded one, big, without a bulletproof vest, beer cut and multicam pants, in slippers, with napkins. Well, he go
To the toilet.
to the toilet. We ask, is the 30 point far? Well, they said it was
Do you have
clear.
any
Our
stickers?
guys are probably already here. No, we have nothing. We ask, is point 30 far? He says, no, just go straight ahead. We walk about 7 meters and they open fire on us. The shout starts, surrender, surrender. German was immediately wounded because he started to get a grenade. Rambo. But he was really loaded. Kappa said like that for a minute, raised his rifle. I surrender. And I fell in the field. I had some kind of panic, spasm, because the commander took my pills. And I panicked from this. Bipolar. I grabbed this rifle. I don't understand what to do. Then somehow I started to come to my senses. I threw the rifle away. The only reason I didn't give in right away was because I didn't know the attitude in captivity.
Yeah.
What they did with
In your
the
homeland.
dead yours, what I could imagine doing with the wounded. I knew what was happening in Irpin, Bucha, and other cities, and I simply didn't know how to treat prisoners of war. I ran away. I said, guys, don't come any closer. Let me blow myself up with a grenade. But the old man came up to me and wasn't scared. My grenade was already without a pin. He came up to me, he put in a cigarette and lit it. He stood there and talked to me. He convinced me that everyone would be fine, that no one would touch me. If I didn't want to go to Russia, I wouldn't go back there. So I inserted the grenade, I put the pin back, that's it. I threw the grenade out. They tied me up. He didn't blindfold me. That's it. I was taken prisoner on August 24, and these days that I've been in captivity, I feel much better than when I was in the position.
By nutrition, by attitude.
Food, attitude, communication, they even offered to get in touch, I just don't remember a single number.